Did you know that many muscles people spend hours stretching aren't actually tight at all? Research suggests that feeling of tightness is often created by the nervous system as a protective response, not because the muscle is physically short. Hi, I'm Naomi Pendergast and I'm a movement specialist. I help people bridge the gap between injury, function, and performance so that they can move with greater ease and confidence through life. If you've been stretching the same areas of your body for years without lasting results, there may be a completely different reason your body feels stiff. In this video, I'll show you how to release tension and explain what's really happening. Let's get started. I'm going to take you through 6 exercises which are going to release tension. They're going to actively stretch and open the areas causing restriction, and then they're going to engage what needs to be engaged to bring release into the areas of the nervous system which are holding tension so that we can bring equilibrium back into the body. So we're going to start with the roller, and we're going to be starting down in a TFL and quad stretch. So it's really important here that the bottom foot is resting on the ground and the top leg is resting in front. This is so the body can relax onto the roller. If your leg is lifted off the ground and you're rolling up and down like this, the muscle in that bottom leg is actively on. And when that happens, you're rolling over the top of a tense muscle. So you want to have that leg relaxed on the ground and find the point just below your hip. It'll probably be a little bit tender. That's okay. You just allow yourself to breathe onto it and relax. And instead of rolling up and down it, I want you to rock on it. So you're going to rock forward and back, just breathing. And then traveling slowly down the leg and rocking. You might find that it's tighter closer up near the hip, and you may find it's tighter closer to the knee. So you just work on the area that you can really feel needs to be released. So we're starting with this because these are the areas that feed into the hip and the knee. And we want to try to release that before we work on anything. If something's really restricted and tight and then we try to activate other stuff, it can take a lot longer for us to find, get to that kind of achieved point where the body's a bit balanced. Whereas if we actually release what's tight first, it allows us to access that weaker area a lot quicker. So we're just going to just rock on here. Good. Then we're going to go to the other side and just give it a quick relief. Now, you spend as much time as you like here. If you want to spend, 5 to 10 minutes of rolling, that's fine. With rolling, it's very painful the first time you do it. And then as you, do it more regularly, you'll find that it becomes quite enjoyable, a nice kind of pain, if that's something. Oh. Gosh, I can tell you on one side it's not so enjoyable, and the other side it is. So that's telling me that I have quite a lot of tension on that lateral left leg there. Good. So finding that roll. Good. I'm going to bring it down. So we've released by rolling, so that's bringing in a little bit of stretch in the tissue or release into the tissue without actively stretching anything. Now we're going to stretch by bringing ourselves into a quad stretch. So you can have your roller close by, and if you need it, you can use the roller to help you get a stretch there. You're going to tilt under and so that you can bring your body up. You want to tuck the hips underneath, and you want to make sure that you're not shifting away from the leg that's stretching, which commonly happens if you're tight. So you want to shift your right hip across to the right and tilt under so that the stretch comes through the belly. Now, the reason that we did the release on the roller first is because when we're really, really tight in a muscle, and the muscle contracts and becomes short, if we go straight into a stretch, what can happen is we can tug on the ligaments and the tendons that are attached to that muscle. And then what happens is you get pain or discomfort, or you end up overstretching the actual joint itself, when really what we're trying to access is the muscle. And so what we did is we let a little bit of release come into that muscle tissue by rolling on it first, bringing a little bit of kind of elasticity into it, so that then when we go and stretch it, it has a much greater result in the actual muscle itself. Let's do the other side. It's good to note here that if you are someone that is hypermobile or has a lot of kind of, unstable sort of pelvis and joints, then this stretch, you have to be careful not to press forward and overstretch the joint. Really tilt under with the hips. Press that hip out, try to keep the torso up, and really try to feel the stretch through the belly of the muscle. If you're getting it through the hip itself, it means that you are not in the correct position, or that you're so tight here that you're unable to find the position correctly. So you might need to spend more time rolling and doing other things before you get into this position. Good. We're going to tilt, 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 and hold, and then release. So when we feel, the nervous system is, overstimulated, and we feel pain in the body, we might feel it, a lot of the time it's, tight hamstrings, tight lower back, tight chest and shoulders. We're going to want to stretch those areas because that's what feels like needs to be stretched. But that's actually the body's way of telling you, that you're overusing something because something else isn't working enough. So we just address the front of the hips because it's a really common issue to have, tight, sore hamstrings. But the issue most of the time is not coming from the hamstring itself. It's coming from the imbalance in that torso posture, and the hamstring has been stretched and put on load. And when the hamstring stretches out and is put on load, we feel stiff and it feels tight. But actually it needs to be shortened and it needs to be released. So if you have an anterior tilted pelvis, a tight lower back, tight hamstrings, you actually want to do this sequence, which is going to bring your pelvis back into alignment. So we stretched the quads, we stretched on the roller, and we're now going to lie down on the back and we're going to engage and shorten the hamstrings. So from here, you're going to press your feet down into the ground and you've got your knees an inch apart. You're going to breathe out and tilt the pelvis. Now, you want to try to roll the pelvis towards you and come to the back, sort of just where the pant line is, and hold this position. You're really tipping the pelvis. We're not trying to lift as high as we can. We're trying to roll the pelvis and shorten the length between the base of the glute and the back of the knee. So that line is becoming shorter. We're trying to close that line, tip the pelvis backwards, open up the lower back, keep those hips opening just as we released before. You might even feel them stretching. Keep the knees in, keep the weight in the heel and the inside foot, but don't lift the toes, keep them flat. Hold this and breathe, and see if you can just stay there. You don't want to roll up and down. I want you to really get that connection with the brain to the body. Feel the back of the legs working, feel the glutes working, feel all of that, where you shouldn't feel any tension in the lower back. It should feel like this is sort of opening up. If you put your hands there, you shouldn't feel any tension. The muscles should be floppy. And then roll it down and do it again. I'm going to breathe out. My pelvis tips towards me. My belly is jelly. If you have a tense, tight belly, you will have a tense, tight back. They go hand in hand. So if you stiffen those superficial muscles, your superficial back muscles will also stiffen. So tip the pelvis, breathe, let the belly flop, let it go floppy, let the back flop as well. You want to feel how that is soft. We're aiming for that depth in the belly. Hold, hold, hold. You want to feel the back of the legs working. Good. And lower it down.
Good. So you can go through that a few times. You can even put something between your knees, use the breath. So we've addressed that pelvic position now. And we've brought a little bit of alignment back into the pelvis just by releasing the legs and engaging the back of the legs, shortening them and opening up that lower back while recruiting those really deep muscles of the belly. Now we're going to address that upper back posture. So we're going to look at that, typical sort of hunched shoulder, tight chest, position, forward head, which is a reflection again of where the pelvis and the rib cage are sitting. The head will always move dependent on where our ribs are. So if we're tight in our lower back, our ribs are going to pop forward and then our head is going to adjust to that because it's trying to adjust to what's happening below it. So we're going to now look at readjusting that upper back position. So again, using the roller, we're going to start with the release and just releasing tension in the body. So we're going to lie back on the roller, having it just at the very base of the shoulder blade, so not too low. Hands are resting behind the head, just relaxed. From here, you're going to just allow yourself to roll backwards over the roller. Breathe into the rib cage and then breathe out and just curl up. So it's not an abdominal curl or a really, intense action. It's actually just a relax over the top of the roller and just letting yourself sort of really let your head fully go in your hands and let all the tension go. Feel the chest open, but don't force the elbows out or the body backwards. You're just relaxing and breathing in to the rib cage and then breathing out and just curling up. Now, if you feel any tension in the lower back or discomfort, it means the roll is too low. So you want to actually shift it up so it's further underneath the shoulder blades. And then again, you just take it back and just going through it, feel the entire weight of your body relax onto the roller. So we're just massaging that area between the shoulder blades. And again, one more. Good. And bring it up. Good. Now we take the roller and we sit it lengthways. So now we've done the release on the back. I'm going to grab a weight. So I've got that nearby. We're going to lie backwards and now look at, so with this, first of all, you want to have something under your head if you find that your head is back like this because we're looking for good alignment. So just fold a little towel up and have it behind your head. Otherwise, you can just have nothing there as long as you're able to hold a neutral position on the roller, which is feet, legs relaxed, pelvis should be, two pelvic bones should be facing the ceiling. So if you put your fingers on the very pointy part of your pelvis, if it's tipping towards your thighs, it means that, and you can, if you put your hands on your hips and feel a bit ropey there, it means that your pelvis is too far forward. So then you roll it backwards a little bit so that this part of your leg feels soft. It shouldn't feel like there's any tightness there. That means that you're using your hips to hold your pelvis in place instead of engaging those abdominal muscles. So the deep abdominals. So if you tip the pelvis backwards a little bit, you keep the rib cage connected to the roller. So you don't want to have those ribs popping out. So they've got to stay down. Then you take both your arms up to the ceiling and then you open them out to the side, bending the elbows and letting them drop down towards the floor without a change in the center of your body. So you let them hang like that. Then you bring them up a little bit and you can bring them down a little bit and you take them out wide. So you just kind of moving through that shoulder range of going up and down and feeling that stretch across the chest. Now, if you're super tight here, you might want to just hang in one position because when we hang and relax the body and we use the breath, it sends a message to that tissue to start to just let go. But when you actively move and tissue is tight, the tissue will respond by stiffening up. and it will respond to that movement because it's already tight. So you actually, if you're really tight, just want to hang in one position and breathe. You might need to hang there for about 90 seconds if you're really stiff, because it can take about 90 seconds for it to really just let go. And you will find over that time that you'll end up way further than where you started. You might start up here and end down there. So it does work. And then you can change positions. And the more you do it, obviously, the better you will get at it. And then you might even need to add some load, like add a 1 kilo dumbbell or 2, or, just gradually adding a bit of feedback so that you've got something to stretch to. Now, we've stretched the chest, so we're going to bring the weight up. And now we're going to do what we did with the hamstrings. We then recruited the hamstrings to bring the pelvis back into alignment. Now we're going to do the same thing for the upper body. So we're now going to recruit the muscles in our back that are open and long and create that rounded, stiff position in the chest. So we're going to actively engage them so there's lasting change on our posture. So we're going to draw the shoulders down and slowly take the arms backwards. Just breathing. Now I'm only going to take them back to the point I can maintain my position on the roller, so pelvis stays in the same position, ribs stay down. You should feel here that your abdominals are actively switched on. Everything should feel like it's working. If the weight is too light, you won't feel it. So you don't want it to be so heavy that you can't, like you can barely move it over your head. But you don't want it to be so light that you don't feel anything. So find a weight that gives you enough feedback that you can draw those shoulders towards your hip bones, take the arms backwards, keep the legs relaxed, and really feel that torso kick in. Now take your breath and breathe. And you just stay in that position. Now, when I say keeping the shoulders engaged, it's this part of the shoulder. You don't want to feel any pinching or anything up the top. It's actually the back of the arm and the base of the shoulder that leads down towards the rib cage. So you want to feel all of that connection there. You can change your hand grip so that you're holding onto the dumbbell that way or to the sides. So it's whatever, the neutral grip, or just kind of holding it with your palms facing up. And you just want to find the position where you're able to get the best connection in your body. You can also do it with a kettlebell or a dead ball. Watch that you don't, lose the position of your torso. That's really important. And that you breathe. So you're holding it there. Now I'm holding it here until I can feel myself shake a little bit, because I really want that feedback in my body. I want to feel it there. I want to feel the tissue responding in that way. Good. And bring it up. Well done. So that's the end of your set. If you have any questions, then please drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. It's if you can improve the movement in your body and the stimulation with how your body receives information, it will transfer into not only the other parts of your exercise and strength, but also into just everyday life. One of the biggest things I think when we age is to be able to say yes to things. You want to be able to go hiking, rock climbing, camping, doing fun, abseiling, things that you can go out and do with friends, with family, and you don't want to think that your body's not going to come to the table.